Mr Owen. It's a pleasure to serve under your chairmanship today. Can I begin by congratulating my honourable friend, the member for Sheffield Central, on securing today's debate and for setting out so eloquently the vital role that science plays both in his city, across the north of England, and for the wider UK economy. He demonstrated clearly the need for policies that support an environment in which research can flourish. And his concerns are clearly shared by colleagues across the UK, and I can assure the House in Nottingham and the wider East Midlands, not just by those working in our universities, but by businesses, large and small, our local enterprise partnership, D2N2, who all recognise the key role that science and life sciences in particular have to play in our region's future success. Our local authorities too are keen to promote regeneration and the creation of good jobs, and they've identified the potential for science and technology to be leading sectors driving growth in our economy. But local and regional success requires national support, and the UK cannot meet the economic, health, security and environmental challenges facing our society without a government that champions science and research. My honourable friend has already set out the way in which government investment in science and research creates a virtuous circle, leveraging investment from industry, raising productivity and creating more high-value jobs. It's quite simply the case that if you want to grow the economy and make the UK globally competitive, investing in science and research is an effective way to use public money. In fact, a failure to commit to future investment won't just break this beneficial cycle, it will undermine the UK's competitive advantage and damage our economic outlook. Any government that's serious about long-term economic planning wouldn't be cutting the science budget. Yet, unfortunately, over the last 5 years, that's exactly what has happened. As my honourable friend said, the Science is Vital campaign have highlighted, freezing the science budget disbursed annually to universities and research institutes in cash terms means that its real value has fallen by around 15% since 2010. And that decline puts the UK firmly at the bottom of the G8 group of countries in terms of government support for science. In the UK, university research makes up a higher proportion of total R&D compared to our comparators. But far from crowding out other investment, this government support attracts in outside funding, and UK universities, as my honourable friend said, have grown their own investment into R&D by 40% in the last decade. We have that very efficient research base producing a much higher proportion of highly cited publications than might be expected, so we do punch above our weight. But the Business Department's own analysis paper of 2013 both recognised that the UK's long-term pattern of underinvestment in public and private research and development was holding the UK economy back, and concluded that a level of R&D spend consistent with securing future economic success is likely to be closer to the 2.9% average of our comparators. Public sector expenditure may need to rise more sharply in the short to medium term, partly to develop the necessary talent and partly to catalyse private sector investment. And in December last year, the Biz Select Committee reached a very similar conclusion, recommending that the government aim for 3% of GDP to be spent on R&D by 2020. So my first question to the Minister is, how will you ensure that the UK doesn't fall further behind, miss out on new opportunities and risk the strengths that we have? But this isn't just about the UK's place in a global race. It's also a local issue, and one that matters very directly to my own constituency. Nottingham's strength, particularly in life sciences, is long-standing and well recognised. We have two world-class universities in the University of Nottingham and Nottingham Trent University, and one of the largest teaching hospitals in Europe. We're proud that BioCity, the largest bioincubator in the UK, was established here in 2002 as a unique collaboration between our universities and the East Midlands Development Agency, and it now sustains over 650 employees working for around 70 companies on its main site, undertaking that innovation, taking science and turning it into economic propositions. These more recent developments build on our heritage. Nottingham's been home to Boots for more than 150 years, and its Lenton headquarters, manufacturing and logistics centres make it one of the largest private sector employers in the city. The development of the Nottingham Enterprise Zone, which includes the Boots site, provides huge opportunities for future growth. And MediCity, a collaboration between Boots and BioCity, designed to support innovators in consumer healthcare, medical technology, diagnostics and beauty products, is already home to 40 start-up companies. And just last week, the D2N2 LEP approved a £6.5 million grant of local growth fund towards a new state-of-the-art life sciences complex being built by the City Council to expand BioCity and create hundreds of new jobs in the city. Now, I welcome this and other government-backed investment in capital infrastructure, but whilst high-profile announcements sound good and the strategic commitment to new facilities and equipment over the period 2016 to 2021 is welcome, without sufficient resource funding, such new facilities won't meet their potential. Nottingham has all the building blocks in place, but adequate government support for research remains critical. And as already been said, this isn't a question just of the total value of research support, but also its regional distribution, a point my honourable friend for Blackley and Broughton has made very forcefully already in this debate. Glenn Crocker, the CEO of BioCities, also highlighted how London and the south and east of England continue to receive a disproportionate share of total investment, both public and private. So if the government is serious about economic rebalancing, and I would suggest it isn't just about a northern powerhouse, it's also about the Midlands as well, then that situation needs to change. So I hope that when he responds, he'll set out how he does intend to address this distortion, ensure that Nottingham, which certainly has the people, the facilities and the strong and viable business propositions, also gets the financial support that it requires to build that thriving technology sector we aspire to. Now, as an MP without a background in science, I've been fortunate to participate in the Royal Society's pairing scheme, and the opportunity to build links with real practitioners has been very valuable. I approached my former pairs for some of their views before today's debate, and one of the things that they expressed was that concern about resource funding. As physics professor Philip Moriarty succinctly put it, there's no point in bright, shiny new pieces of kit if there aren't the researchers there for use it. There's a lot more I would like to say, Mr Owen, about the MRC Institute of Hearing Research at University of Nottingham, which I visited last week, and the huge contributions that they're able to meet and the way in which they operate in a multidisciplinary environment, which I think is one of the most important aspects of our universities and can be a catalyst for new thinking. People will remember the story that appeared in the press about the way an ancient in fact, a 10th century potion to treating eye infections was used, was tested out by, which was discovered by an Anglo-Saxon expert from our School of English, was tested out by biomedics and found to actually be successful at tackling MRSA, which has eluded scientists for some time. So I think that ability to work cross-discipline is very important. And it shouldn't be forgotten the importance of blue skies research. Peter Mansfield, very famous in Nottingham for building the first MRI scanner, but he actually started work with a physics experiment on solid-liquid interactions. He didn't anticipate the impact that his work would have, and that's often the case, that impact is difficult to predict or quantify, and blue skies research mustn't be lost in the drive for value for money. Mr Owen, I'm conscious of needing to finish my remarks, so I just want to say three things to the Minister. First of all, can he make a commitment or tell us what commitment he makes to knowledge transfer partnerships, because that's one of the most important long-running government growth and innovation initiatives celebrating 40 years this year, and certainly valued in my city. Can he say something about, as my honourable friend has already said, about the way that immigration rules, and particularly around post-study work visas, whether he's willing to have that discussion with the Home Office. And at a time when we're particularly conscious of the role in women in science and research, and that's been in the spotlight in the press, and of course yesterday was National Women in Engineering Day, can he say what the government intends to do to ensure that we celebrate the talents of everyone who would like to get involved in science research and that persistent gender imbalance that we see. And finally, can I extend an invitation to him, if he's in Nottingham, to visit both of the universities in my constituency, or if he and his colleagues find themselves in Ningbo in China or Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, to visit the extraordinary University of Nottingham campuses in those cities where over 11,000 students are studying for British degrees and carrying out cutting-edge research, bringing together the bridge between UK and Asia. I thank him for listening, and I look forward to hearing his comments.